Evil Dead Burn was good. Like, really good. Easy 8 out of 10. Is this just because Evil Dead is one of my favorite franchises of all time? Yeah. But it was also just a good horror movie in general, at least separating the rest of the franchise. And let me tell you, blood was drawn. A lot of it. But that's basically just common courtesy for Evil Dead, and it's definitely met the violence quota. An Evil Dead movie without heavy gore is like my guy without his hat, okay? I'm not gonna get high spoiler, he's just another YouTube storytime animator. Okay, I'm done with the intro. Now the review. Evil Dead Burn is apparently a direct sequel to Evil Dead Rise, but I haven't seen Evil Dead Rise. I know, fake fan. So that's why the Necronomicon isn't in it. But the main story is basically this girl right here, Alice. Her husband Will died in a car accident, so now she's visiting Will's family in some rickety old house. There's a big argument at the table about whether or not Alice should keep Will's business going, where Will's dad, Edgar, who had previously turned into a deadite at the funeral, loses it and stabs the dog to death with a fork. Everyone obviously freaks out, and I can't remember if it was Alice or someone else that knocked him out, but whatever. Will's brother Joseph and his girlfriend, Thea, I don't know, whatever her name is, they take Edgar in the car, and while he's knocked out, they try to drive to get help, and he wakes up and there's a big struggle in the car, and they end up crashing into a ditch. Meanwhile, Alice is reading some pages that turned out to be the family's grandfather's writings he used to write stuff about the incantation of the Necronomicon. So Alice reads them, and the dog, Max, bursts through the window and starts attacking her. The dog turned into a deadite while he died. Which, this was news to me. I'm pretty sure there has never been an animal deadite in any of the movies, so that's pretty cool. Alice runs back inside, and then meanwhile again back in the car. Joseph's chud, dumb, idiot, selfish self climbs out through the sunroof, and Thea ends up getting killed because Edgar stabbed her through the back of the head with the headrest. Then Joseph acts shocked and sad when he sees this, as if he literally didn't leave her to die. So then he runs home, and Thea's right behind him, and she's now a deadite. Thea attacks him, and they lock her in the basement, and then Edgar shows back up with Max outside and shoots himself in the face like 5 times. Thea ends up breaking out of the room because the grandma called Polly let her out. There was a joke going about how Polly thought Thea was trying to steal her stuff, so Polly let her out of the room because she said she would give the money back. Thea goes on a rampage and starts beating everyone up. She scares Joseph into falling backwards on an open dishwasher where he stabs himself in the back. Then she goes up to see Polly, where she pulls out her dentures and starts sucking on them before she puts them back in her mouth. Careful who you do that to, Thea. Some people might be into that. Thea ends up getting her face smashed in with the door of a dishwasher, and it kills her. Now Polly's a deadite, and she convinces Susan that it's actually great being a deadite, and she should just make everyone become one too. Then she lets Edgar in, and there's a makeout scene that goes on between them for far too long. Susan goes back downstairs and tries to tell Joseph and Alice to just give them the Kandarian dagger back. They refuse because they don't know where it is, and Polly, Susan, and Edgar end up going on a full rampage around the house, and Alice almost died because Susan is cowardice. Alice breaks out by stabbing Polly in the eye with a glass shard, and she hides with Susan in the bathroom. Susan blames her for Will's death, and Alice tells Susan that Will was actually abusive. Alice tries to get to the attic, but Susan becomes a full deadite and attacks her, so Alice chops her up with a weed whacker. Alice goes into the attic and tries to find the Kandarian dagger, all the while being attacked by deadite Joseph. She finds the right dagger and stabs him in the chest, killing him. Susan and Edgar chase Alice around in the roof, so she goes down the chimney and lights the house on fire because Thea had previously doused the whole thing in gasoline. Then she goes outside and kills Max. She lays down, and it's shown that Will is now a deadite, but a crispy one. He chases her into a construction site, and she falls into a pit where Will tries to drown her in hot tar. She grabs a jackhammer and uses it on him, where he sinks into the hot tar. His head rises up, so she stabs him in the neck with a dagger. She sees him in his human form, and he tells her he still loves her. Alice tells him that's not enough, and she crumbles his face. She's found in the road by cops and paramedics. When they ask her who did this to her, she says, "My ex-husband," and the movie ends. Do you know who this wouldn't happen to? Ash.
1. I may suck balls as a father, but I will not let evil take that away. Brandy, I meant. Or my balls.
We got it.
I'll keep saying this until I die. Ash vs. Evil Dead didn't deserve to be cancelled, okay? How do shows of this caliber get cancelled at season 3? Meanwhile, crap like Hazbin Hotel gets 4. I said this in the intro. The movie was good. Pretty good. I don't have any footage of the movie because it came out like 2 weeks ago. And even if I did, I couldn't show like any of it. The intro scene with the fisherman was probably the best scene in the movie. It had the most creative kill in my opinion. It was also pretty cool. And the hard cut from the Deadite being rammed by a car to someone throwing cheeks was pretty funny. I saw a ton of people complaining that it wasn't gory or violent enough, but I think that's just bullcrap because it had plenty. And a dog got stabbed to death with a fork. Also, side rant here, I've seen people saying that we should boycott Evil Dead for this, which is genuinely just stupid, dumb, and a borderline retarded thing to say. This is the same film franchise where someone got raped by a tree and you don't bat an eye, but the second a dog dies, oh, all bets are off. Anyways, back to the review. I really liked Alice as a character. I thought she was really well written and handled. Polly was the funniest character in that movie. She had really funny dialogue. Joseph was a chud. I don't care about him. Vi didn't really have all that much development before she got turned into a Deadite, but she had enough to be somewhat likable. Edgar was cool, but he kind of got fizzled out toward the middle and the end, so he could focus on Thea more. I didn't really like the mom. I think her name was like Susan or something. And Will had like 2 scenes at the beginning, and they were pretty much auto show. Oh, this guy's kind of annoying. Then he crashed his car into a Deadite and died because it blew up. But if I'm being honest, my biggest complaint with this movie by far is the CGI. It doesn't take a genius to tell you a lot of this just isn't good, especially that end scene with the Will Deadite. I don't have a picture to show, and it probably isn't nearly as bad as I'm putting on, but I just remember being in the theater and thinking, man, that looks really bad. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about how this movie went too far, and it just seems like recency bias to me. Like, this is probably the tamest movie in the franchise. A dog dying doesn't make this worse than literally any other movie in the franchise. And just so you know, people are making out this dog scene to be a lot more graphic than it actually is. It just showed a fork stabbing what's clearly a block of brown fur and blood comes out. And that's literally it. So, that's about the end of my review. Should you watch Evil Dead Burn? Yeah, I think so. It's a pretty faithful adaptation of what Evil Dead's supposed to be. There's plenty of gore and violence to make it a good Evil Dead movie, and a good horror movie in general. It's definitely not a life-changing watch, but it's still definitely worth checking out. So, just so you know, I'm probably going to be gone for another 6 months, but I post in my community tab a ton. Also, I just got one of those community things, so you can just post whatever you want in there. And, that's all I wanted to say. And in conclusion, Something Zilla watched the original trilogy at its peak, and that goes for all of you. Watch the Ash trilogy.